YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to yet another video here. So, 9-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Khalil Mack is one of the most notable free agents in the 2025 free agency. Following the Chargers' postseason playoff loss to the Houston Texans in the wild card round, Khalil Mack stated that he needed to take some time to mule his future and think about whether or not he wanted to return or retire for this upcoming season. And on Wednesday, Adam Schefter reported that Khalil Mack will indeed return to football in 2025, and the 33-year-old pass rusher is set to be an unrestricted free agent for the first time in his 11-year NFL career. Obviously, Khalil Mack, 107.5 total sacks in his 11-year career. He's without a doubt one of the most decorated outside linebackers / pass rushers in history of the NFL. And at the end of the Chargers season news conference, the Chargers general manager Joe Hortiz, I believe that's how you say his last name, and Jim Harbaugh said that they had hoped to re-sign Khalil Mack if he decided to return for a 12th season in 2025. Khalil Mack also said earlier this month that if he decided to continue playing, he believed his best chance to win was with the LA Chargers. So he quote-unquote said, as long as you have Justin Herbert as your quarterback, you have a safety in Derwin James and all these guys that love the game of football and Jim Harbaugh coaching, you know you always have a chance to win. So yes, that's a no-brainer. So clearly he has a lot of interest in returning to the Chargers. Clearly the Chargers have interest in retaining him and re-signing him. However, he is an unrestricted free agent. So, there will be other teams in the discussion to sign him, and that obviously then brings up the question, do the 49ers take a look at Khalil Mack and pursue him in free agency? Obviously, they have Leonard Floyd on a 2-year deal. They signed last offseason. Leonard Floyd actually had a very productive year, 25 solo tackles. He had 8.5 sacks. And a forced fumble. Khalil Mack last year, 20 solo tackles, 6 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He also had 2 sacks against the Texans in the wild card round. So very similar seasons that Khalil Mack and Leonard Floyd had. Here's the thing. Leonard Floyd's on a 2-year deal, and he's 32 years old. And Khalil Mack is going into his 12th year in the NFL, and he is 33 years old. Very much so older options here for the 49ers. Obviously, Leonard Floyd's still on the roster, and he's not going anywhere. The 49ers will keep him. But Khalil Mack, at 33 years old, is a very old target to or he's an old player for the 49ers to target. And yes, they do have a need at edge rusher. Leonard Floyd is not the long-term answer at edge. I think the 49ers will draft an edge rusher in this year's draft with pick 11. I think Abdul Carter, Mykel Williams, Shamar Stewart, all of those guys are linked to the 49ers. I think the 49ers have more value with their pick, taking a defensive end or a pass rusher, opposed to taking an offensive lineman with the 11th pick. However, I wouldn't be mad at them taking an offensive lineman. They're about to pay Brock Purdy, and you have to protect your multi-million-dollar quarterback, in which Brock Purdy will be. And obviously, we don't know how much longer Trent Williams is going to be playing in the NFL, so you have to draft a tackle. You have to figure out that part of the team as well. They don't have a long-term answer at tackle. So, but should they pursue him? Should they go after him and try to sign him in free agency? I would probably say no. I would probably say that you pass on something like this. I think if you can get him on a very vet minimum type of deal, he's not a bad insurance piece. But I don't think the Chargers are going to let him go number one. I think, the 49ers, again, are going to draft a edge rusher in this year's draft. They have Leonard Floyd on a 2-year deal. I think genuinely whoever they draft will probably be the starter opposite of Bosa, whether it's Mykel Williams, Abdul Carter, Shamar Stewart. Abdul Carter would be my number one choice, but there's a pretty good chance that the 49ers miss out on him and that a team takes him before the Niners are able to. So that would be my first choice. But again, there's a good chance that he goes before the Niners. So the reason I would say no is because he's 33 years old. He's very injury prone. Khalil Mack is, he has dealt with a lot of injuries over his career. He's been pretty banged up with the LA Chargers. He was banged up with the Bears during his time there. I don't think that's what the 49ers need. They're coming off of a season full of injuries. And I think when you look at this roster, it needs to get younger and not older. And obviously, it's not like, they couldn't sign Khalil Mack to a 1-year deal. I get all that, but I don't know where you're going to use him at. You're probably going to draft an edge at pick 11, and you have Leonard Floyd. Why pick up Khalil Mack? Unless it's like for an insurance option, which doesn't make sense because Khalil Mack, wherever he goes, is going to want to start. And I think whoever does sign him plans on having him as they're kind of like a short-term answer at edge rusher. Because again, he's going to be 34 years old literally a month from now, in February. So I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm open to it, right? Like he's one of the more decorated pass rushers in all of football. I just don't think the 49ers need to pursue him. I don't think this is a guy that they absolutely have to get in free agency. They need to get, I would say focus more on interior defensive line during free agency and our secondary cornerback. Hopefully DJ Reed reunites with the 49ers now that Salah's back in San Francisco. Again, I said this in one of my recent videos, but they could also take a look at bringing Solomon Thomas back for depth. They could take a look at bringing back Javon Kinlaw. Obviously, Javon Hargrave is set to be released, and Solomon Thomas and Javon Kinlaw give you depth at that position. So maybe I think they should shift their focus towards that. I don't think they really need to really focus on edge during free agency. They're going to probably draft an edge rusher with pick 11. So to me, it just doesn't make sense why the 49ers would pursue him. And not only that, but realistically, Leonard Floyd had a better year than Khalil Mack last year. I don't know how many games each of them played last year. I think Leonard Floyd probably played a little more games just last season than Khalil Mack did. But really, man, the stats show that Leonard Floyd had a more productive year. And I don't think Leonard Floyd was a complete difference maker last year on defense, but he was consistent enough. He did his job, and I think he did what the 49ers paid him to do. He had a productive season. He was, a 1.5 sack away from a double-digit sack season. And I think he played well. Obviously there were some games where he was a non-factor or he was banged up or something like that, but I think during the games that he played fine. So you still have him for another year. Obviously, you already have your veteran edge rusher opposite of Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd on a contract still, coming off of a decently productive year. I don't think there's any reason to go get Khalil Mack when you have Leonard Floyd for another year and you have the 11th pick in the draft where you're probably going to take a edge rusher. So I don't know. I don't think the 49ers are going to pursue him. Should they? Probably not. There's just no point in doing so. Obviously, it's intriguing to talk about and whatnot, and I'm sure there's a handful of Niner fans out there that would probably, very much so love the 49ers to get Khalil Mack, but I just don't see why you do that. The 49ers need to get younger. They already have a veteran guy in Leonard Floyd. You would be bringing Khalil Mack in to be doing the same exact thing that Leonard Floyd's doing, and Leonard Floyd arguably did it better last year than Khalil Mack. So again, I just don't see why you do it. Obviously, if you guys have any thoughts on this, any comments, let me know in the comments down below. I mean, should they, in your opinion? To me, it doesn't make sense. To me, it's more of a lateral move than anything. Your team gets older. That's about it. I don't think Khalil Mack at this point in his career, excuse me, is a difference maker. So, again, fun to talk about. He's an intriguing free agent. Again, I mean, he's an unrestricted free agent for the very first time in his career. But again, to me, it doesn't make sense. And I don't think the 49ers should pursue him. I think they should pass on this. I think they should focus more on the secondary and interior defensive line during free agency and offensive line, more so than looking at edge rushers. Because again, you're probably getting one in this year's draft. So let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. Should they pursue him? Should they not pursue him? Let me know down below in the comments. And as always, go Niners. I will see you guys in the next one.